ladies and gentlemen. There's a question that changes everything when you allow yourself to truly ask it, who is God calling me to be? Not who others want you to be, not who your past says you are, but who the creator of the universe has destined you to become. This isn't just a casual reflection, it's the key to unlocking the extraordinary life God has prepared for you. God doesn't call us to comfort, He calls us to purpose, and purpose requires transformation. It means stepping out of the familiar and walking into the unknown with a heart that says, Lord, I may not have all the answers, but I trust that you do. His call isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a whisper in the middle of your chaos, a persistent nudge you can't ignore, or an unshakable dream that refuses to let you go. But here's the truth, stepping into God's call will require you to confront the version of yourself that's clinging to safety and settling for less. You'll have to break free from the chains of doubt, insecurity, and fear. You'll have to silence the voices that say you're not enough, that you've made too many mistakes, or that you've missed your chance. Let me tell you something, God doesn't need perfection to fulfill His plans. He needs a willing heart. He's not looking at your flaws, He's looking at your faith. Who is God calling you to be? He's calling you to be more than your past, more than your circumstances, and more than the limits you've placed on yourself. But here's the thing, becoming who God has called you to be isn't about striving, it's about surrendering. It's about laying down your plans and trusting that His plans are better. It's about letting Him work on you, refine you, and shape you in ways you never imagined. God's call doesn't just transform your life, it transforms the lives of those around you. When you step into your calling, you become a beacon of hope for others. You show them what's possible when you walk in obedience to God's voice. You become a testimony of His power, His grace, and His ability to take what was broken and make it beautiful. So tonight I want you to ask yourself, who is God calling me to be? And whatever answer rises in your heart, know this: you are already equipped for the journey. He has given you everything you need to step into your divine identity. All He's asking is for you to trust Him, to follow Him, and to let Him lead you into the fullness of your destiny. Because who God is calling you to be is greater than anything you've ever imagined. Understanding God's call on your life begins with recognizing that His voice is always speaking. You just have to be willing to listen. Sometimes we expect the call to come as a thunderous proclamation, a clear and dramatic moment that leaves no doubt. But more often, God's voice is a gentle whisper in your spirit, nudging you in directions that feel unfamiliar yet undeniably right. It's the stirring in your heart that won't go away, the dream that refuses to let you rest, the inexplicable pull towards something greater than what you see in front of you. God's call isn't always about what you do, it's about who you are becoming. Before He places you on a platform, He prepares your heart. Before He entrusts you with a mission, He shapes your character. Understanding His call is less about figuring out the details and more about aligning your heart with His. It's about surrendering your plans and opening yourself to His. It's saying, God, I don't know the full picture, but I trust you enough to take the next step. But let me tell you something, recognizing God's call isn't always easy. The noise of life, the weight of expectations, and the distractions of the world can drown out His voice. We get so caught up in chasing success, validation, or approval that we miss the quiet moments where God is speaking. Sometimes we convince ourselves that the call is for someone else, someone stronger, smarter, or more qualified. But here's the truth, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. When He sets His sights on you, it doesn't matter what others think, what your past looks like, or how unprepared you feel. His call is irrevocable, and His purpose for your life cannot be canceled. Understanding God's call also requires patience. Oh, how we want the answer now, the plan now, the breakthrough now. But God doesn't operate on our timeline. He reveals his plans in his time, and often it's not all at once. He gives us just enough light for the next step, teaching us to trust him one step at a time. It can feel frustrating, even disheartening, but it's in that waiting and that dependence on him that we are molded and strengthened. And let's be real, sometimes his call will disrupt everything you thought you knew about your life. It might take you out of your comfort zone, away from the things you thought you wanted, and into places that feel uncomfortable and uncertain. But here's the beauty of it: God's call will always lead you closer to him. It will stretch you, refine you, and transform you in ways you didn't know were possible. The journey may be challenging, but the reward of walking in his will is far greater than any temporary discomfort. So if you're seeking to understand God's call on your life, start with this: quiet your heart and make space for his voice. Look at the passions, burdens, and dreams he's placed within you. They're not there by accident. Trust that his call will come, and when it does, don't let fear hold you back. Step into it knowing that the one who called you is faithful to equip you. His plans for your life are beyond anything you can imagine, and understanding his call is the first step toward walking in the fullness of your destiny. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is a battle that begins in the mind but transforms every aspect of your life. These beliefs, those whispers of "I'm not good enough, I've made too many mistakes," or "someone else is better suited," are not from God. They are the echoes of fear, insecurity, and doubt that try to convince you to stay small, to hide your light, and to ignore the calling he has placed on your life. But here's the truth: God didn't create you for mediocrity. He created you to live in the fullness of his purpose, and that purpose begins when you let go of the lies holding you back. Limiting beliefs often stem from our past failures that haunt us, words spoken over us that broke our spirit, or situations that made us question our worth. But let me remind you, your past is not your prison. It's a stepping stone for the transformation God is working in you. He sees beyond your mistakes. He sees potential. He sees beyond your flaws. He sees purpose. Every time you let a limiting belief dictate your decisions, you are saying no to the greatness he's placed inside you. But the moment you decide to reject those lies, something powerful happens. You step into a freedom that only God can give. Breaking free isn't always easy because those beliefs have often taken root over time. They've been reinforced by experiences, by people, and sometimes even by your own doubts, but just because they've been there doesn't mean they belong there. God's truth has the power to uproot every lie that has ever tried to define you. He calls you chosen, redeemed, loved, and capable. When you align your mind with his truth, the chains of those beliefs begin to fall away. It's not about pretending fear or doubt don't exist. It's about refusing to let them control you. It's about standing on his promises even when your circumstances try to convince you otherwise. Let me tell you, there's a version of you on the other side of those limiting beliefs that you haven't met yet. That version of you walks boldly in purpose, speaks with confidence, and lives without apology. But you'll never become that person if you stay stuck in the shadows of what if and I can't. God didn't design you to shrink. He designed you to soar. When he calls you, he equips you. And when he equips you, no weapon formed against you can prosper, not even the weapon of your own doubts. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is a process, but it's a process worth fighting for. Every step you take in rejecting those lies and embracing God's truth is a step closer to the person he's calling you to be. You don't have to have it all together, and you don't need all the answers. All you need is the willingness to believe that his power is made perfect in your weakness, that his plans for you are good, and that he has already equipped you for the journey. So let those beliefs fall away and step boldly into the destiny he's prepared for you. The world is waiting for the person God created you to be. Surrendering to his process is not an act of weakness, but a profound display of strength and trust. It is laying down the need to control every outcome, the urge to plan every step, and allowing God to guide you through the journey he has perfectly designed. But let's be honest, surrender is not easy. It requires faith, vulnerability, and the courage to let go of your timeline and trust in his. When you surrender to God's process, you are saying, Lord, I don't see the whole picture, but I trust that you do. His process isn't always comfortable. It often feels like being stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. It's those moments when life feels uncertain, when doors close, when relationships shift, and when the plans you held onto so tightly begin to unravel. It's easy to question God in those moments, to wonder if he's forgotten about you or if you somehow missed his voice. But surrender teaches you that every delay, every detour, and every disappointment is working for your good. God's process is about preparation. He's not just interested in what you do, he's invested in who you're becoming. He knows that the weight of your calling requires a foundation strong enough to carry it. So he refines you. He removes the things that don't serve your purpose, the pride, the fear, the doubt, and replaces them with strength, resilience, and a deeper dependence on him. The pruning may feel painful, but it's necessary for your growth. And just like a gardener doesn't prune a tree to destroy it, but to help it flourish, God is doing the same in your life. Surrendering doesn't mean you stop dreaming or striving. It means you align your dreams with his will. It's trusting that his timing is perfect, even when it feels like nothing is happening. It's understanding that the silence isn't a sign of his absence, but of his work behind the scenes. He's preparing the stage for you, orchestrating divine connections, and laying the groundwork for opportunities you couldn't create on your own. Your job isn't to figure out every detail. Your job is to stay faithful, to keep moving, and to trust that God will open the right doors at the right time. When you surrender to his process, you're allowing God to write a story that's greater than anything you could imagine. It's not always about the destination, it's about who you're becoming along the way. Surrender allows you to release the pressure of perfection and embrace the beauty of progress. It's about showing up every day with a heart that says, God, whatever you're doing in me, I trust you with it. And in that surrender, you'll find a peace that surpasses understanding and a strength that carries you through the trials. Because when you let go and let God, you step into a grace that's bigger than your fears and a purpose that's greater than your plans. Living as God's chosen vessel means understanding that your life is not an accident, but part of a divine design. You were handpicked, crafted with purpose and intention, and your life carries significance far beyond what you may see in the present moment. To live as God's chosen vessel is to understand that you are not your own. You were bought with a price. Your purpose is not just about your personal happiness or success. It's about being used for something greater than yourself. When you begin to live in this truth, everything changes. You stop seeing your life as just a series of random events or challenges. Instead, you start to see it through the lens of divine purpose. Every struggle you face, every setback, every season of waiting is not wasted. It is preparing you, refining you, and positioning you for the call God has on your life. The road may not always be easy, but it is always purposeful. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And if he has called you, he has already equipped you for the journey ahead. God's purpose for your life is not something that just appears out of nowhere or is only revealed when you reach a certain level of success or understanding. It has been with you since before you were even born. It's embedded in your very DNA. I know sometimes life can make us question our worth, our place in this world, and what we are truly meant to do. But let me remind you of this. You were created with a divine purpose, and that purpose is powerful. You are not here by accident. You were placed in this time, in this season, for a reason. We often look around and see other people living out their calling, and we wonder, why can't I do that? Why don't I feel called the way they do? But God's purpose for your life is uniquely designed for you. There is a specific journey that only you can walk. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out, if you're in the middle of a struggle, or if you feel like you've lost your way. Your purpose is still right there, waiting for you to discover it. And it doesn't always come in a perfect, polished form. Sometimes purpose is found in the messiness of life, in the moments that challenge you, the moments that push you beyond your limits. These moments, believe it or not, are part of God's design to shape you for what's next. When you realize that your purpose is not defined by the circumstances you're in or the mistakes you've made, you start to see everything differently. You start to see the struggles, the setbacks, the hard edges as part of the process of refining you for the greatness that lies ahead. Those moments when you felt lost, God was there shaping you, molding you into the person you needed to be to step into your destiny. The moments when you doubted yourself, when you felt like you weren't enough, God was still working, still calling you to something higher. You are not defined by your failures or your doubts. You are defined by the calling God has placed on your life. God's purpose for your life isn't something that you have to chase after or try to force. It's already within you. The talents, the desires, the passions you have, they are not random. They are part of the unique calling that God has given you. It might be a quiet desire, something small that doesn't seem significant in the moment, but I promise you, God uses those small things to create something great. And I want to challenge you today to stop looking at what others are doing and start looking at what you've been called to do. Your purpose is not meant to fit into someone else's mold. It's meant to fit perfectly into the design God has for you. You don't have to have all the answers right now, but you do need to trust the process. Every step, every season of growth is taking you closer to the fulfillment of your divine purpose. And even when the path is unclear, even when the road seems uncertain, remember this: God is faithful. He didn't bring you this far to leave you now. His purpose for your life is bigger than anything you can imagine. And even if you can't see the end result, He knows the way. And He is leading you step by step into something far greater than you could ever dream. So what is your purpose? It's not always about doing something big or flashy. Sometimes it's about being faithful in the small things, showing up, being a light in the darkness, and living with integrity and grace. It's about finding the courage to pursue the dreams and desires that have been placed in your heart. Your purpose is to live fully as who God created you to be, trusting that He will lead you exactly where you need to go. Don't let anyone or anything make you believe that your purpose is not important. Don't let the world tell you that you have to look like someone else or do things their way. God has a plan for you, a purpose that no one else can fulfill but you. And every step you take in faith, every day you live in alignment with that purpose, is a step closer to the incredible life He has designed for you. The world needs you to show up, to walk in your purpose, because only when you live fully in your calling can you make the impact God has destined for you. Understanding your unique identity in Christ is one of the most profound realizations you can have. It is the moment when you stop letting the world define you and begin to understand that you are already defined by the Creator of the universe. From the moment you were formed in your mother's womb, God had a plan for you. You were made in His image, wonderfully and perfectly designed, and there is no one else like you. Yet how often do we get caught up in the noise around us, trying to live up to standards that aren't ours to meet? How often do we let society, our past, or even our own doubts tell us who we are and who we should be? The world has a way of trying to label us, of trying to tell us what we should look like, what we should have, what we should be doing by a certain age. We measure our worth by what others think, by how many followers we have, by how much we've achieved. But none of that is what defines you. The truth is you were made to stand out, not to fit in. Your identity is not found in a career, a relationship, or the approval of others. Your identity is found in Christ, in the one who created you with intention and purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing when he created you. He didn't make a mistake, and he didn't create you to be anyone else. So it's time to stop looking for your worth in things that don't last and start recognizing that your true worth is already secured in him. You are his masterpiece, his creation, and that is where your identity begins. The beauty of your life is found in the way he has uniquely gifted you, in the way he has intricately woven your personality, your passions, your strengths, and yes, even your struggles into a life that brings glory to him. Your identity isn't defined by your past mistakes, by the labels others have placed on you, or by the things you've yet to accomplish. Your identity is defined by the fact that you are his child, and that is enough. But understanding your unique identity in Christ doesn't just stop with realizing that you are made in his image. It's also about understanding that he has called you for a specific purpose, that he has a plan for you that goes beyond anything you could ever imagine. You are not here by accident. There is a reason for your life, and your identity is rooted in that purpose. The struggles you face, the challenges you've overcome, the things that have shaped you, they all have a purpose in God's greater plan for your life. And when you begin to recognize that, you stop trying to fit yourself into a mold that was never meant for you. You stop wasting time trying to be someone else, and you start living authentically, walking in the purpose he has for you. When you begin to walk in your true identity, the world will begin to see the light inside you. People will begin to notice the peace, the joy, and the strength that come from a life lived in alignment with God's calling. Your identity in Christ is not something you have to chase, it's something you have to claim. It's something you have to believe with all your heart. When you truly understand who you are in Christ, nothing and no one can shake that truth. You stop letting circumstances or people's opinions control you, and you start standing firm in the knowledge that you are God's beloved. God didn't create you to shrink back. He created you to rise up in your full God-given identity and walk confidently into everything he has planned for you. So today I encourage you to take a step back from the noise of the world, from the pressures that try to tell you who you are, and simply rest in the truth that you are a beloved child of God, made for something great. Your identity is not in your failures, your limitations, or your past mistakes. Your identity is in Christ, and in him you are enough. You are chosen, you are loved, and you are perfectly positioned to walk in the purpose he has called you to. Step into that identity with confidence, because it's the only one that truly matters. So I challenge you today to embrace the truth of who you are. You are God's chosen vessel, uniquely designed with purpose, love, and intention. Your life is not a coincidence, it is a masterpiece in progress. Every step you take, every trial you face, every victory you claim is part of his divine plan unfolding in your life. Don't shrink back from the call. Don't doubt your worth or question your purpose. When God calls you, he equips you, and when he calls you, he empowers you to walk boldly in that calling. Know that you are never alone in this journey. His presence goes with you, guiding you, strengthening you, and transforming you every step of the way. The world needs your light, your voice, and your testimony. The world is waiting for you to show up as the person God has already called you to be. So walk in confidence, walk in purpose, and let your life be a living reflection of his greatness. Because when you live as God's chosen vessel, there is no limit to the impact you can make and no boundary to the greatness that lies within you.